Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilman Marlo Lewis.
Father God, we come in the name of Jesus, Lord God, just to say thank you, Lord God, for allowing us to meet once again, Lord God. Lord God, we come here thanking you, Lord God, for everything that you've done for us in this city, Lord God. You bless us, Lord God. Now we want to be a blessing, Lord God. Lord, we ask you to forgive us of our sins of omission and of commission, Lord God. Guide us in our decision-making process, Lord God, as we help the people of this town, Lord God, this fine town, Lord God, New Iberia, Louisiana, Lord God. We come right now, Lord God, knowing that, yes, we are Sugar Town, Lord God, but in your name, Lord God, we'll become sweet again. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle.
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez.
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry.
Present.
And Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you. Public comment. We have no public comment cards at this time, so we'll move on, but I'll ask you to please silence your cell phones. We'll go to item number 2. Madam Clerk.
Acceptance of the minutes of the July 17, 2018 meeting as published on July 30th, 2018.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Guidry. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank you all. Item 3.
Persons to address the council. Presentation by Jesus Divas to the mayor, police chief, owner of Clementines, and Councilmember Sherry Guidry with plaque of appreciation.
Good evening. Hi.
Hello everyone, my name is Miracle Latig, the daughter of Minister Ricky and Marie Latig. I am the founder of the Jesus Divas group, which means dressed in virtue and style. To the Honorable Mayor and distinguished city members, we would like to express our deepest gratitude for allowing us this opportunity to show our love and appreciation for all you do in the city of New Iberia. We feel blessed that we have leaders that believe with God we can do all things through Him that give us strength. We want to give thanks to Minister Councilwoman Mrs. Sherry Guidry for going out of her way to connect with residents of this great city and motivating young people to be strong, to help one another. I asked my mom if she knew her city officials when she was my age, and she said no. For my age, she was playing jacks, jump rope, riding bikes, and playing with her baby dolls. Sounds like fun, but now in my days, we have to pray more in some areas. It's not safe for children, the elderly, and even those who try to protect us. But I give honor and glory to God for allowing us to meet Minister Councilwoman Mrs. Sherry Guidry, and through her we have met some awesome leaders in our city. To every one of our city leaders, thank you for allowing us to be part of this great change of our community, so desperately needs. Thank you for seeing that our condition not only broken or painful, but very dangerous, and that we cannot do nothing without the help of Jesus. Thank you for allowing the clergymen to pray for our leaders so they can operate in wisdom and under the mighty protection of God. As Proverbs chapter 3 verse 6 says, "In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths." This means seek Him in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. Can everyone please stand? Thank you for working together under the authority of God to bring forth the transformation our city needs. We are blessed that our mayor can see the spiritual warfare that's taking place, filled with hate, division, unforgiveness, and revenge. We want you to know that you are not alone and that we will continue to pray for you and our leaders, that God's supernatural power flows into communities in our city, that it affect every level of society. To the Honorable Minister Councilwoman Mrs. Sherry Guidry of District 5, thank you for seeing the hope-filled appetite for change in our city, and that it will take more than a wish upon a star for change to come. Thanks for showing young people and neighbors that we all must give way to commitment and faith in Most High, and that community transformation takes place. When a culture is impacted by the presence of God and through someone who is so devoted as you are, we love you dearly. And now the Chief of New Iberia Police Department, can you please come forth? Are they here?
Yeah, he's ready. He's coming behind you.
And last but not least, can the owners of Clementine's please come forth? Positive Unity Makes a Positive Community 2018, in a grateful appreciation of your untiring years of outstanding service, loyalty, friendship, and dedication. Thank you, Mr. Michael Parch, Jr., Mr. Kent Dode, and partners at Clementine's, presented from Jesus Divas Group, and Minister Councilwoman Mrs. Sherry Guidry. Thank you for our time.
Thank y'all very much. That was wonderful. That
Thank you.
Really unexpected and really very nice. Y'all did a great job. And it's people in the community like the two of y'all and your family and all the people that make these things possible, that make it a whole lot of fun to be the mayor. Thank y'all very much. All right, Madam Clerk. 3B.
Rosalind Bob with Life Grief Support Ministry announcing their 3rd year anniversary special event.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First, giving honor to God, who's the head of all of our lives. It's just a blessing to be here this evening. So I just want to thank everybody. Marlon, Miss Sherry, Minister Sherry, the mayor, who I've been running behind. And it's just a blessing to be here. God is so good. For those who don't know me, my name is Rosalind Bob. And in 2006, my son Jamon Rogers was murdered here in New Iberia. And it was rough. I didn't think I would get through it. But by the grace of God, the day I went to bury him, I found out his girlfriend was 5 days pregnant. So God blessed me with a grandbaby who's 11 years old now. And I thank him. And I had already knew God when it happened. So it made my burden a little lighter. And so now here we are, 3 years. I'm the CEO and founder of Life Grief Support Ministry here in New Iberia. I'm helping so many families. The young guys that were murdered on the St. Martinville Highway. Before I had a chance to reach out to the Fontenot guy's mom, she contacted me. And I'm working diligently in the community. We're a 501c3, we're a nonprofit now. And we had our first fundraiser, and I'm putting it back in the community. As a matter of fact, this morning I went by Miss Fontanetti and dropped a check from the organization. And we're doing a lot of work in the community. On August the 9th, which is Thursday, we have our 3rd year anniversary, and we're going to be at the Steamboat Pavilion, thanks to the mayor and Miss Heather and everybody else. And we're going to have several ministers there and pastors. As a matter of fact, Minister Sherry Guidry is one of the clergies that's going to be there. We have my own pastor, Arthur Lee Alexander, from Generetta at First Jerusalem Baptist Church. We have Reverend Randall from here at Lighthouse Missionary Baptist Church. And I have several other ministers, and we're going to have a candlelight vigil, and we have a lot planned. But I'm putting forth a lot of effort in the community. And I let them know, don't even look at me, because it's not about me, it's about God. And He is using me to help these families. Being that I've had to endure the pain firsthand, I don't like to say I'm better, but I'm way further than when I started. I've been with the state of Louisiana for 10 years now with child protection, and I know God is going to remove me from there, because a lot of times I have to do things while I'm at work. God has so much work for me to do, and I'm just willing to go out in the community and help these people with broken hearts. And it must be something, because it's like God is blooming. The ministry is blooming now, and God is constantly opening up several doors to make it easier for me, you know, to do His work and His will. And I just want to thank God for y'all giving me the opportunity. City Councilman Marlowe, you know, we go back, and he knew my struggle from the beginning. As a matter of fact, he's going to be on program too. I have him as a in our district, because that's our District 3 councilman, and I thank God for him, you know, because during my struggle at the beginning, he was right there for me, and I appreciate him. And I just wanted to introduce Life Grief Support Ministry, and our scripture is Matthew 5:4. Blessed are those that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And love is forever and eternal. So y'all please keep me, and also my husband Taylor Bob. Could you stand, Taylor, please? I thank God for him, because he helped me, and he always by my side, you know. So I thank God for him too, because it's not easy when you have to go to a family right after their child was murdered. It's not easy, but God always gives me the strength, because I know the pain firsthand. So y'all please keep my ministry in prayer. And I just want to thank everybody, the mayor, Marlo, the chief. Thank y'all for everything. Y'all have a blessed evening. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Madam Clerk, item 4, resolution.
Resolution authorizing the disposal of surplus items located at our new Iberia Fire Department as described on the attached Exhibit A.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Swear and a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. And just to tell y'all, these are fire hoses, some bottles, and some radio cases for the most part is what we're disposing of. Is there any discussion?
I just have a quick
Yes, ma'am.
question, Mayor. How do we properly dispose of these items? What do we do with them?
Why don't we call up the fire chief and see what he does with them?
Okay. Hi, Fire Chief. I'm just curious.
Well, all of them have no value except
Right.
maybe the Cascade system has a little value, and our intention is
To
to
give
put
it.
it on surplus and to be able to find as close a fire department that can use it. You can't purchase the parts anymore for it. It's a lower PSI than we're going to for our air bottles. So that has some value. Hose, once it busts, it has no value. If somebody wants it, people use it to, you know, cover their padding on their
docks,
boat
that
or a
kind of
boat dock, or it has no value to the fire department. The 4 radios are some old high band radios that were probably purchased in the 90s. So we'll surplus those. Those will actually be used on a trade-in on some 700 radios that we do actually use. Kenwood has a program right now. They'll give you a $500 rebate on those, you know, when you turn those older radios in. So we're going to take advantage of that 4 times.
Thank you.
All right.
Any further discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank you. 4C.
Resolution accepting the quote of $49,095.33 and awarding the contract to CAD Control Systems for the SCADA system upgrade for Sucrose Drive Wastewater Treatment Plant, Admiral Dahl Drive Pump Station, Teet Bayou Wastewater Treatment Plant, and Arminco Pump Station, and authorizing the mayor of the city of New Iberia to execute and enter into a contract between the city of New Iberia and CAD Control Systems.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by probably Councilwoman Guidry was first and Councilman Lewis was second. Do we have any discussion on this item?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I saw they had, he was the only bidder because, I guess the way the specs read, we had to go with that company.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, Vince has been involved with that. He can come up if you'd like.
I just thought that's why. And the upgrade is it could do anything to help the capacity of the plant or just to bring it?
This is just on the control system.
Yeah.
I mean, we need it. It's been crashing and we've been patching it together for a while, but it's the
But
control
it's
system.
not capacity of
No,
the
no,
plant.
this is
No.
the SCADA system that runs the softwares from all the other computers in the plant. The computers are 14 years old now. They're outdated. IT's looked at them and has been shoestringing them and rubber
Yep.
banding them
Yep.
together.
And he did a good job, but it's
Yeah.
can't do much more.
But that's the original.
It's the original
Equipment.
software, it's the original, we're gonna keep the same softwares and just upgrade to the current versions and replace the PCs. Without them, the plant doesn't run automatically. So it's past time, really, that this happens, and, we'll need to do it in another 10 years,
Yeah,
no
that's
doubt.
cool.
So
Thank you.
Our new
Okay.
plant is not new anymore.
it's definitely not.
Any further questions?
Is this?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Is this an annual agreement? Is this an annual, being it's a contract that we're getting into, is this an annual
One-time
contract? So one-time deal?
upgrade, right,
one-time upgrade fee?
correct. They're gonna upgrade the licenses that we have now for the softwares. They're expensive softwares, but we just have to pay for the upgrades. It's up to the contractor really to get it up to the most current version of the software.
So in the instance where, like, they have a failure at any pump station, this sends that, so this system right here is automated, it's gonna send you an automated,
This is strictly for the
Only
Sucrose
the
Drive
plant.
plant
Just for that plant
specifically.
only?
And one pump station, actually. The main pump station where the old plants, the old plants 1 and 2 used to be behind the Pizza Hut.
Okay.
It operates that pump station and the plant,
okay,
nothing else.
all right. That's it.
Any further discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank you, Vince. All right. Next item, 4C.
Resolution accepting the bid of $168,000 obtained by reverse auction through Lamette's for the purchase of a 3,400-gallon vacuum truck to be used by wastewater and awarding the contract to Skymark Refuelers Incorporated and authorizing the mayor of the city of New Iberia to execute any and all documents in connection with said purchase.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Guidry and a second, I think, by Councilman Broussard. Do we have any discussion on this item?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The existing pump truck we have, is this complete out of order, or is this gonna be used as a spare, or we trading it in, or?
I think we're gonna keep it because we'd like to have a spare, but it's in pretty rough shape. I mean, it's been.
I didn't know if we were trading it in.
No, I think we're gonna keep it and that would give us a spare. Because when these trucks go down, we've had to
Oh, yeah.
borrow, we've had to do all kind of things.
Thank you.
Further, yes, sir.
How many vacuum trucks do we have right now? Just one?
Vince has one, Leroy has one, and we'll have this one. I think that's it. You have two, Leroy? Backhaul, yeah.
This is strictly for suction.
Yeah.
The other one's pressure.
Yeah, one Doug was pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, you can come up here.
He has a backhaul, we have an identical backhaul truck. This particular truck is a much larger tank on it. It's a 3,400-gallon tank. Our trucks have very small, the vacuum trucks they're dual purpose. They're flusher trucks plus vacuum trucks. So this has a particular purpose. It can hold more volume and it's just a vacuum truck. Very, very high vacuum truck.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Please vote your machines. And we went through LMATch just to tell you they were a big help with this and a super big help with the police department. Doing those reverse auctions is a way to legally buy something and make the best due diligence you can to get the best price you can, and it's just a system that really works and we're pleased with. So just to thank LMATch. All right, Madam Clerk, 4D.
Approval of the certificate of substantial completion submitted by 5J's Construction for completion of the project described as renovations to the old fire station, senior citizen center, and recording the certificate with the Iberia Parish Clerk of Court.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by the Mayor Pro Tem, and I don't know who seconded. It was
Sherry.
Councilman Guidry. Okay, great. Do we have any discussion?
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question. Maybe Mr. Allen or yourself or someone can answer it for me. The substantial work that was done, I know they had some repairs that needed to be checked off before this certificate of completion could be given. Was that signed off, and who checked it, and how did that go down?
Right. Well, for the Senior Citizens Center, which is in City Park.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
We've made several inspections throughout the whole process of the construction.
Okay.
And actually, Freddie and I have been meeting on a monthly basis with the contractor to make sure that they were progressing. And they were, and they did a good job. They are kind of waiting on a couple of things, and we have it on a punch list.
Mm-hmm.
They can't seem to get soil right now because it's so wet, but they need to dress out the site. And they've got a couple of small other items that are outstanding, but they know what they need to do, and I think they're doing a good job. It's very challenging. That old building has a lot of issues, and I think we've done a good job to clean it up and to make it usable again and safe. So.
Good. Yes, sir.
What's the status on the West End?
The West End, Freddie and I actually went out there about a week ago. We did an inspection. And we noticed that there was a water leak. Basically there was an existing curb, and they had a rooftop unit sitting on top of the curb. Well, they took the unit off, they capped the where the unit was and put proper bracing support. And so we noticed that there was some tiles that were just changed that were wet. Well, in speaking with the contractor, it looks like that might have been something that wasn't associated with the unit itself. It looked like it's something associated with the existing curb. So the contractor caulked that whole area to seal it up, where some existing roof panels beyond the scope of what we talked about that had some rust on it. So he caulked it, and he's observing it right now. Okay. So, but until he's got that repaired, we're not going to give him substantial completion.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
I just want to make one comment.
Sure.
I really think this is something that needs to be done, and I'm glad it's finished. As far as the senior citizens building goes, a lot of people are happy and pleased with the progress that was made. And I just want to make that comment, being that it is in my district, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it being done. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Seeing nothing further, please vote your machines. Thank you. Madam Clerk, 4E.
Resolution authorizing an archaeologist to complete a Phase 1 archaeological cultural resources survey as required by the State Historic Preservation Officer as a requirement for funding from the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, City Slips, Waterfront Development, City of New Iberia Dock Facility, water and electrical connections by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Guidry, second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. We have any questions on this item? A little explanation? Something? Yeah, this is the grant money that we received to $266,000. Because the Bayou Teche is a historic waterway, and because our architect on the project, Paul Allen, right next door, found a boat that was a historic vessel under his project, we have to go ahead from the state and spend $12,000 to do this archaeological survey to make sure that there's not another boat, okay, or some other significant architectural, historic item. We will get the money back when we do the project. That will just come out of the $266,000. So we found a way to cut back on the project on some electrical items to make up the money later. But if we don't do this, we don't get the project. We don't get the match or the money. We don't get anything. So we're entering into this agreement to say, yes, we will hire this firm. They will come and do the study so that we can proceed with obtaining the grant. So that's kind of where we are. If you have any questions, Paul could probably answer them because he's been through this exact scenario. But any questions? Great.
Okay.
Then, oh, we had one?
Is there any upfront cost in doing the study?
The $12,000. That's what you're approving tonight.
So then, so where are we with the match? How much is
The match will come later in the project, and we already submitted the match. Some was in kind, some was money. It's a 20% match, I think, on this project. It's $266,000.
Right, it's 20%.
20%.
The expenditure right now is to do the archaeological survey because of what was found next door, which is on the National Register now. The shipwreck, and we gave you all a little handout of it. And also, we gave you a little handout of a brand new brochure on the historic districts, which you might want to look at, but it shows where the city slips are, and actually it's connected to the George Rodriguez Park, which is also connected to some of the development that's occurring along the waterways. So this is kind of a phase 2 project of what's already done in association with the boardwalk system that's there. So it's a requirement. They're interested in knowing. I don't think they're going to find anything. Hopefully we found all that needs to be found at that location, but it is a requirement of the federal government if you want to accept these dollars for that grant.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm still boat.
Yes.
So we found a boat there's been a boat under the Bayou Teche?
Yeah,
Shipwreck.
Marlon, right. Probably, I guess in 2005, there was a ship that was found along the edge of behind my office, next to the shadows.
Okay.
There was a ship, an unknown vessel that was found. We were doing a project back there, and we didn't realize it was there. There was no indication whatsoever on any surveys that there was an existence of a boat.
Okay.
We found the boat. The boat got surveyed. They did an archaeological find and a dig. They determined what boat it was. The boat was so important that it got listed on the National Register for Historic Places. And so it's an attraction, but it also is preserved at that site. So what they're concerned about is because we're right next to that site, they want to make sure that there's no other components of the boat that might be endangered, basically.
So the boat is still down there?
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
And as a side note, the keel for the boat got taken out and was given to the museum by the state of Louisiana. They built an entire exhibit around it in the Bayou Teche Museum. That keel is being curated at Texas A&M University right now to be brought back to be put on display. It's quite an attraction for the museum, for sure.
Was there any gold in the boat?
He's not talking.
If I talk, they won't even list the, but they won't even give the latitude and longitude of this boat on the website. They won't even let anybody know where it is. I mean, I know where it is. Everyone knows where it is around here, but I guess they're worried that people might come and dig on it. Don't come, Marlon. We got minefields.
Marlon wanted to know about Mr. Marlon wanted to know if there's any gold. I want to know if there's any silver on the boat. But my other question was, what was this boat used for? And, what was the name of the boat?
I'll give you a quick little history if you want to know.
I would love that.
Well,
it's in my district. I love
the boat was built in 1861 in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh.
And it was originally bought as a passenger and freight ship that would plow the waterways of the Bayou Teche between the trade that would go on between New Orleans and our area. But the Civil War broke out shortly after that. Mm-hmm. So it got converted into a cotton-clad and a tin-clad. So it went up, it was under the control of the Confederate forces. It went up to the Arkansas River and was captured by the Union forces. Then it became the USS Tensaw. And so it served the balance of its war duties as the USS Tensaw. And then it was purchased by Mr. Trinidad, who mapped the Teche he brought it back and as part of the Attackapah Trading Company. So it was used several years for service for carrier and mail, and that was one of its primary purposes. And then it got pulled out of service. Around 1868, it was scuttled, and we think it was burned in at the location where it was. But the main part of the hull must have been underwater because it's still well preserved. When the archaeologists were they didn't, when they were surveying the wreck, they were actually using pressure hoses and stuff in the mud and the water. And so they were having a great old time. I think they got their shots, you know, because the water's not very clean back there. But anyway, it ended up being a very important find. And they didn't find anything except some coal and some pieces of metal that were associated with it. And that was about it, unfortunately. But they did find a lot of history, and I guess that's important. So that's,
It is a lot of history.
and it says that in here. It pretty much gives you the specifics of the boat. So it's listed in the Vicksburg Registry of Boats as well. So it's an important find for Civil War enthusiasts. So
Thank you, Mr.
that's
Paul.
it.
Great. Any
Appreciate
further
that.
discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Y'all welcome. Y'all have a nice evening.
Madam Clerk, 5F.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the City of New Iberia and the Iberia Parish School Board for school resource officers.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter and a second by Councilman Lewis. Do we have any discussion?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I see that the two offices was going to be at Anderson Middle School and New Iberia Senior High.
Correct.
If throughout the year, can the school board have the authority to move them to different schools if the situation comes up, or they stated just
they
at those
could. No,
schools?
we are starting at those schools because that's what they requested. We have a fee. They're paying the fee. We're working together in some really good partnerships. You know, throughout the community, we've done all kind of things with the school board already, from writing grants to doing drills at the schools, and then now we're morphing into this. So, but they could be moved. They'll probably stay at those two schools. They could add additional schools in the city. At one point, they asked us to go further than the city, but we're just not set up to do that. Our jurisdiction is only the city. So we're starting with these two schools. We are in the process of writing some grants. If those grants were successful, we would furnish more officers in additional schools inside the city. We're even helping them with the grant that it would go further than that and probably put some people in the parish that would hire the sheriff's department. But anyway, that's kind of the rundown.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Please vote your machines. Great, thank y'all, because they start work very soon. Like tomorrow. Madam Clerk, item 5.
Public hearing on emergency ordinance. A public hearing will be held on August 21st, 2018 for the ratification and confirmation of emergency special ordinance number 2017-2018-11 for repairs to the Arminco pump station pumps and amending the ordinance levying certain taxes, appropriating the funds necessary to defray the expenses and liabilities of the City of New Iberia for the year 2017-2018, to amend budget for repair costs at Arminco Pump Station for pumps 1, 2, and 3. It's just an announcement for a public hearing.
Right. Do we vote on an announcement?
Nope.
We don't. Okay, so we'll do our public hearing at the next meeting. And y'all remember, this is the $60-something thousand that we need to repair those bearings and to put the oilers back and do some work that's desperately needed at the Arminco. Great. Well, that was easy. Item 6.
An introduction of an ordinance authorizing the City of New Iberia to donate 2 police vehicles to the City of St. Martinville Police Department, which were formerly acquired by donation from the Lafayette Parish Police Department and are no longer needed for public purposes. The units are described as follows: 2017 Ford Crown Victoria and a 2007 Ford Crown Victoria and a 2009 Ford Crown Victoria.
We would have kept it if it was a 17.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I need a motion. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion and a second. Councilman Sweer and Councilwoman Guidry. Ledbetter. I'm sorry. Great. Do we have any discussion?
I threw them off.
No discussion. And just to tell you, these units were given to us by Lafayette, and because we also got units from Youngsville, because our local area departments are being so supportive. We wanted to pass the love along, and St. Martinville needed 2 units, so we could do it. We had more than enough. So hearing no discussion, please vote your machines. Thank you all. Madam Clerk, item 7.
Ordinances. Adoption of ordinance number 2018-12, revoking the dedication of immovable property that formerly comprised part of Lewis Street South, released by TOTD in favor of WIC Communications Company, in compliance with the City Charter, Article 2, Section 2-10, which ordinance was previously adopted as a resolution by number 18-46.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter. And do I have a second? Second by Councilman Broussard. Any discussion on this item? Yes, sir.
We did this by resolution, and we should have done it by ordinance.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're redoing what we did.
And the next.
Yeah. Any discussion? Please vote your machines. Thank you, Madam Clerk. 5B.
Adoption of ordinance number 2018-13, revoking the dedication of immovable property that formerly comprised part of Lewis Street South, released by DOTD in favor of New Iberia Owners, LLC, in compliance with the City Charter, Article 2, Section 2-10, which ordinance was previously adopted as resolution number 18-54.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilwoman Ledbetter, do I have a second? Councilman Broussard. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Item 8.
Appointments. Appointment of Edward P. Landry upon the mayor's own nomination to serve on the Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board for a period of 3 years, July 26, 2018 to July 26, 2021, subject to approval by the New Iberia City Council.
I have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem Dahl. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think Marlo won that shootout. Councilman Lewis. Do we have any discussion on this item? No discussion. Please vote your machines. Thank you all, and I really need to thank our outgoing person because he happens to be here tonight, Mr. Rayo. And I can't thank you enough for your service. And I got a couple of boards I'd like to tap you for.
That's okay.
You did a great job. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Great. Now we move on to item 9.
Financial reports. Presentation by Kevin Zarang, City Treasurer, of the June 30th, 2018 budget to actual comparisons.
Afternoon, Council.
Good evening.
I promise to try to be quick.
Promise to let you.
Thank you, sir. We're presenting the numbers for November through June of 2008, November 17th through June of 2018, which is 8 months into the 12-month cycle. So we are at 66.7% into our budget as of today, the end of June, I mean. What I'm going to do is just present the numbers in total. If you have any questions, please ask. General fund was budgeted $18.8 million in revenue. We are at 12.8, giving us at 68.14% of budget. Expenses were budgeted at $19.0 million. We're at 12.9, leaving us at 67.96% of the expenses. So we're a little higher on the expenses, but yet we're also higher on the revenue, so it nets out. Parks and Recreation, budgeted 1.2, we're at 1.1, leaving us at 91.33%, and that is because Parks' main revenue is the ad valorem tax, which in the past, we talked about it, is recorded at the beginning of the fiscal year versus pro rata over the 12 months. Expenses were $1.3 million. We are at $790,000, leaving us at 61.4% of the budget. Public Works, revenue at 2.8, actuals is 1.9, leaving us at 68.09%. Expenses, budget 2.8, actuals 1.5, leaving us at 54.46%. Sales tax fund, budgeted revenue 10.1, we're at 6.8, leaving us at 67%. Expenses 10.1, actual at 6.4, leaving us at 63.42%. Garbage revenue of 4.5, actual is 3.0, leaving us at 67%. Expenses budgeted at 4.6, actual is at 3.1, leaving us at 66.6%. Section 8, revenue of 1.3, we're actually at 827,000, leaving us at 66.1. Expenses of 1.2, budgeted, actual is 883, leaving us at 68.6%. Wastewater, revenue of 5.2, actual is 3.4, leaving us at 65.3. Expenses budgeted at 4.6, actual is 3.1, leaving us at 67.8. So if you look at the numbers, we're where we should be for the year. Any questions, comments?
Questions? Great. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Madam Clerk, item 10. We are moving along.
Items for discussion. Sherry Guidry to discuss blighted properties on Ann Street and the request to DOTD for a bridge cleanup.
Councilwoman Gitter?
Mayor, I've had numerous calls, and council, I've had numerous calls about this particular subject, and this has become, I don't know, I need a secretary to answer some of my calls. Is that bad? And so I thought it reasonable to put it on the agenda and talk about it. I've received numerous calls concerning the abandoned houses on Ann Street. There's a few of them in deplorable conditions. And I've spoken to Mr. Jimmy on numerous occasions from Inspection and Compliance Office, especially about a couple of these particular properties. And it's also my understanding that the Nuisance Laws Committee and we met, we revised the ordinances. The enforcement of the process was placed on hold in conjunction, to be fair, with compliance, and the NIPD came aboard on July 1st as these revisions were being made. I'm kindly asking the residents of Ann Street that have abandoned these properties, please get your orders in your affairs in order. This has become an eyesore for the residents that actually own their homes in this particular area, and I believe that, you know, is like a depreciation value for some of the citizens that live in these particular areas. Particularly, I'm talking about Ann Street. I'm also talking about Lafayette Street, Mullane Street. I'm talking about East Persian Street and a few other streets where we have, for some odd reason or another, sometimes it's because a loved one has passed away and the house is being left to the heirs of the family. And what's happening is it's hard to get in touch with some of these people that have moved away, and it's a process. But at the same time, it's potentially bringing down the value of those who do own their homes in that area. And surprisingly enough, there are a lot of homeowners that actually own their homes in that particular area. A list has been compiled about these neglected properties. And additionally, nuisance may also occur when someone fails to do something that is required. In fact, I have a prime example, and it is public record, so I don't mind saying the actual property address, and it's 514 East Persian Street that I'm getting a lot of calls from. This is a prime example. Out of respect of the property owner, I'm not going to mention their name, but this was a demolition, and according to her permit record, she checked off that she was going to demolition the house and remove all debris. And well, to our knowledge, it has been abandoned, and the debris has not been picked up. There's trash, there's debris, there's wood, there's garbage. Not to mention, it's an eyesore for the neighbors to look at every single day. And also, too, there's critters running loose. There's mold, mildew, and potential things that's in the atmosphere. And I believe that is unfair to those that all live on that particular street. To say the least, this citizen didn't file a protocol. And at the end of the day, the property owners next door, both to the left of this particular property and to the right of this property, and also there's a long time standing business that also has a backyard there, all in conjunction with this particular property. So people are left with an accumulation of critters running into their homes and yards, but there's a potential impact of public safety and health issues there, and also accumulation of just a bunch of trash and garbage that's just piled up on the particular property. And if Mr. Jeff would mind, I hate to impose on you, sir, but would you please maybe elaborate a little bit about the new process that we have, and also maybe a tool, the judicial tool that we have in this particular ordinance, and that this is not done quickly and it can't be done by the next day.
Well, no, it can't be done quickly, it can't be done by the next day, but we had a number of remedies in the ordinance that we have. You know, one of those is the demolition process. One of those, for some of the properties, is going to be a misdemeanor prosecution, and we had a meeting, I guess it was yesterday morning.
Yes, sir.
With a big group of people in the next room, law enforcement, prosecutor, public works, compliance, all those folks. So that's one of our remedies, is misdemeanor prosecutions. We can file a civil action in court to have the judge force the owner to clean up the property. The problems with some of these are you have absentee owners, you have deceased owners. A civil process is expensive because we have to file suit, we have to act, we have to try to get the money back. A lot of these properties are estates, they have liens, they have judgments. So we're looking at, and we've met with Ann Stevens and talked to her yesterday about taking these things the misdemeanor prosecution route, which I think would probably be quicker. If you've got a specific list, or maybe you've given it to Jimmy already, I don't know. Is 514 the one we talked about yesterday?
Yeah.
It was a demolition issue, now it's a junk issue, so now we're going to pursue. I mean, I don't want to make promises about what our various people are going to do in specifics, but we talked about that one yesterday, had pictures out. So, you know, we're going to try to address as many of these as we can. We'll try to address the ones that pose a health and safety issue first. It's going to be very difficult to do all of them across town. I mean, we talked about one of the properties yesterday where I know one of the owners, so I volunteered to call him. So I rode by the property to see, make sure it was still in bad condition before I went. And there were two others on the street that were in the same shape, you know, just full of junk. It could have been any one of them that I was out there to look at. So we have a lot of these that have accumulated over the years. We're going to try to work them off. It's expensive. You know, the process, the personnel, it's expensive to do. It's not the primary job of government, although we have to do it, you know, in some situations. So we're going to do the best we can. And, you know, when I tell you we had a big meeting about it yesterday, the mayor just said, okay, everybody in one room so that we can quit pointing fingers at each other and get this thing done. No, he was pretty outspoken, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're working on these.
I want to thank you, Mr. Jeff, for explaining that process. On July 26th, I turned in a lot of these particular properties that, you know, just have been abandoned and for many various reasons. I've walked Lafayette Street, I've walked Mullane Street, I've walked East Persian all in one day, just trying to get a better handle on what's the problem, what are the calls are for, and so I'm one to go see. And to my surprise, I mean, you know, we have a great issue concerning that, but that's my main issue, and it was the stuff that was negligently piled up there on the property. And you know, I know the neighbors are upset concerning this matter. Government, to me, should be our last resort on some of these issues. Some of it we could take our own social responsibility as a community, a neighborhood, or just neighbors helping neighbors. But at the same time, this particular issue, I think, is negligent, and it just needs to be addressed. So I'm just asking those in the particular area or sector of the city, please do your best to either help out your neighbor next to you, across from you, or those that are leaving the properties abandoned from some various reason or another. Please see about it and get your affairs in order. Thank you. Also, too, the DOTD, I got a chance to finally speak with Mr. Bill Oliver concerning the commercial bridge, I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yes, on Little Street.
And it's a process getting in touch with the DOTD. I want to thank Mr. Leroy for his connections and Miss Maxine for her tireless emails and calls also as well. And I did speak with Mr. Bill Oliver, and he assured me, Mayor, that every 3 to 4 months, he and I will stay in touch with one another. Oh yeah, I got personal cell and all. I just wanted to talk with him and assure that on that particular area, we have new economic development right there. We have new businesses, we have neighborhoods right there, and the trash that's going all along underneath that bridge right there, we want to be proactive and not reactive. And so we're coming up on hurricane season at this time, and I just feel that we just need to stay on top of this particular issue. That's all I had.
Great. Did he tell you when he was going to clean it?
We're talking. We're talking about first. I'd like an analysis about this particular underneath the bridge, and then we're going to schedule a cleanup.
Okay. Good. Good.
He told you something different?
No.
Mayor?
Well, we've written a letter before.
Yes.
And we've made several calls about it. So look, kudos to you.
I told him I was going to call out his name, and I was going to call out his name.
And he's a very nice man.
And I was going to let everyone know what he said, and I'm just repeating what he said.
That's awesome.
Now, if he doesn't stick with that agreement, then we're going to have to go around town again.
Yeah. Okay, great. No, that's good. That's good. Communication's always good.
Yes,
but we
sir.
have all communicated, written letters. The council had voted on that
Yes.
one time before. You and I had looked at it once before.
Yes. Pictures.
Mr. Leroy talks to him pretty often. I have talked to Mr. Bill a few times. So I was just curious. But yeah, we'll all stay on it. The more the better.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brousseau, you had your hand up on this item.
Mr. Jimmy.
You've been patiently waiting.
Mr. Jimmy, thank you, buddy. 3 months we've been putting stuff on that list, and we haven't been working on it. We're getting calls that things are being moved. But they're being moved the wrong place. On Desiree Street, this guy's moving cars a block around the corner on another lot that we have that old blue car with 3 feet of grass on each side of it, so it hasn't been moved. I called in on it. I hope it's being moved soon, because I have 5 neighbors calling since they put the other car from Desiree Street, do it right around the corner, and put it in that lot next to that blue car. You talk about coming unglued. But he got another car pulled in the middle of the street in front of that house, but they cleaned up that house at all. So I appreciate it. And Miss Sherry, the burned houses. We have a certain fellow we all know him. I got 2 or 3 properties he owns. I can mention a name. I don't want to get us sued, but he knows who he is. Burned house on Walton and Reynolds. He won't even board the thing up. Can't we get him to at least board to build the house up? They have drugs, and the neighbors are hollering that they're going in and out of the thing. We have another house on Bank and Rogers. He owns that one too. It's not burnt yet, but all the windows are burnt. You know, it's all busted up. We need to board that thing up. It's on Bank Street out right there, a block from Maynard's, from the old Maynard.
That's right.
So Sherry, you're not the only one. We have several other properties, each one of us have, that we don't know where to go with them. But at least they can board them up. So let's, Mr. Mayor, on some of these properties, we can put the button down to at least board these houses up.
Well,
I got something
it brings up a good
Might not
point.
be able to tear them down, but at least it's a burn house, but at least board the windows.
All right. We're going to have a discussion about that in a second. Yes, Councilman, anybody?
I just want to add to Mr. Broussard's comment. I know exactly who you're talking about, and yeah. So the other thing is, though, I don't know if he must have got word that I was walking the streets, Mullane Street, Lafayette Street, East Persian Street, but they're taking all the stuff out the burnt house and they got it to the road and they're boarding it up. I don't know, maybe because I got out my car and just walked the street and looked at it. So that might be it. Maybe you might have to go park and get out and walk.
I'll walk, don't worry, they know I'm there.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I understand where Mrs. Councilwoman Guidry is coming from, but also, I know there's a lot of abandoned, properties out there, and I want to thank some of the people. I think I had 3 or 4 homes in the last month or so that's been demolished in my district by the homeowners. And Jimmy, we ran into each other a few times. You was on your job, I was on mine, and it was good to see people. It was a trail on Bob Street, a home that the car ran into on Field Street. The homeowner took initiative, and 2 others I can't quite think, and it's all about encouraging them, to do that, finding out who the owners is, like you're doing, Councilwoman Guidry. But man, I tell you, man, let me tell y'all, when you watch a documentary in Sugartown, I don't know how many of y'all saw it, and you see that, I didn't like it. I didn't like the documentary, and I'm talking about the way they portrayed our community. They went around and they filmed all these abandoned houses, and they gave the idea that that's how we live. That we live, like people in the West End live in these houses. And I didn't like it. But the thing is, if they weren't there for them to go and film, they couldn't use it against us like that.
That's true.
So we definitely have to do something about these homes, That's my statement. We don't live like that. There's some good, clean people, smart people, educated people. Again, I'm going to say clean people, neat people in the West End, And they didn't show none of them.
I'm done.
I watched it.
I didn't see it yet.
Any further discussion? I'm going to take this time just to tell you a couple of things, okay? We know we are, we got all of our department heads together that fooled with this issue yesterday, kind of streamline our process. We can't get to everything, and I know it. I know that our budget won't allow us to get to every single thing, and we have new things popping up, new challenges all the time. Now we have people dumping construction debris on lots. Now, sometimes they're adjudicated lots, sometimes they aren't. Then we go against the people that were dumped on to try to get them to clean it up when they didn't do it. We are having some new issues of that happening more often. We are looking at our money because it's budget time. We're going to budget $30,000 this year to go to our demos. But we've met yesterday and said, if we boarded houses up, if we went ahead and bought the plywood, got Public Works to board up the houses, let's say that we have $30,000. So we're going to do 10 houses if we get super lucky, and probably not, because you have asbestos to deal with, you have all these other issues. So you can, on best case, take your $30,000 and maybe do 10 houses and probably really do about 7, okay? So we can talk about the hundreds of pieces of blighted property, and every one of us has 7 that we can point out almost, I hate to say it, can almost come up with 7 in each district. So now we either pick and we do 1 in each district, and then we look at each other and say, wait, we don't have enough money to go around. Where if we took that $30,000, we might be able to board up 30 houses, because I don't think it's going to be that expensive per house. And if we are doing this for public safety and public health, If you take a house and board it up properly. We all see houses that they put 2, 3, 2x4s, some scrap they got off the side of the road. It's not really boarded up. It's very easy to get back into. If you take a 4x8 sheet of plywood and you really screw it and you really attach it to the house well, and you do every opening, it's hard to get that back off, okay? So if we as a council and the mayor and the administration would decide that we would rather board than demo, we could do a lot more houses in a lot more areas. That is at least something to consider. Now, does that mean that there are some that you can't board? Yes. There are still some that are so far gone. We have a list that we've been kind of sharing with y'all of 7 or 8 that need to come down. We rode around and picked a few some trailers, some burnt houses, a couple of buildings that are falling apart. You can't board that up, okay? But if we were selective, we could ride around, and all of you could, and in our districts we could find many houses that we could quickly board up, which would help with the criminal element, which would help keep kids out of it, which would go towards public safety and make our money go a lot further. So we're going to, budget time's coming, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how much money do we spend and how often does Public Works go and pick up trash on lots. And what is trash? Because we're going to get into that in a second. Some of this stuff we can't touch. One man's trash is another man's treasure. There are times that we get pictures of things and then Public Works goes out there. They're not going to pick it up because it could be worth something. Well, I can't have a lawsuit because we threw away 4 or 5 things in the yard that someone comes back later and says, "One, you wanted my property, that was my stuff, and that was valuable." So we actually have internal debates constantly that now I'm just going to settle. And everybody might not like the way I settle them. I'm going to go physically and look and say, that's junk, that's not junk, that's junk, leave that and pick this up. And if everybody's not happy, I'm sorry, I made the decision. But somebody has to do that because what's happening right now, I got department heads looking at each other, and not just that, workers, people who are out there trying to get the job done that we're sending them to do, saying, wait a minute, you know, I got this guy saying this isn't trash and he wants it, and then my boss is telling me to throw it away. Or my boss has got a directive from another department that says throw it away. Those kind of things we are, as we get more aggressive and we become more challenged in a way. So some of these things we're just going to have to continue to talk about, but I think we need some new tricks. So budget time's coming, and we are going to try to give you some options and explore, you know, some different things we could do to make our money go further to clean this place up. Yes, sir.
Mayor, you brought up some great points about boarding some of these houses up can really resolve a lot of the issues. But there are some, like you said, that are public health factors.
I agree.
We got one in my district right now that's dumping raw sewage all over the ground.
I know that.
And I'm not going to name the address because it's well known, but that's one of them. That's
I agree.
Very big public health factor.
Plywood don't fix everything.
Right. So, but you do have a great valid point when it comes to boarding up a lot of these properties, and it could, you know, resolve a lot of the money issues, and put the money towards ones that really need to come down. So I agree.
Great. Well, good discussion. Thank y'all.
I got one more to add.
Yes,
Civic
ma'am.
Source properties. Look like that's another issue. And I just want to tack that on to this particular issue because we're getting a lot of calls concerning the grass that's high, especially in my district. I don't know what's the process concerning Civic Source properties when the grass is high, and we gotta cut ourselves some slack because there's a lot of rain that's taking place in our area, in our demographics. So I mean, I don't know what to tell everyone, but that's a lot of rain, and the grass jump up higher every time it rains. So I don't know what's the process concerning Civic Source property.
Civic Source is trying to sell property to make a profit.
Right.
Civic Source is not coming to cut the grass.
Right.
Those adjudicated properties are people have basically walked away from them. So if we go cut the grass, we are charged that amount of money. So, you know, that's not something that if it's turned in, we look at it, but if we think it's going to sell, we are certainly trying to give those properties time to sell and not spend our limited resources. You know, if we cut every single lot in town that has a Civic Source sign, every single lot in town that is turned in, and every single lot in town that is tall, when they go to cut one, they see 5 more. There's not enough time or enough money to do that. I mean, I'm being totally brutally honest. The Civic Source properties, we have them listed, and we are hoping that Civic Source sells them. We have been waiting, and we do well with houses that can be renovated. The lots are not selling. They are not many lots. Sometimes an adjoining property owner will say, I'll come and add on to my yard. That's a win-win. it's not cheap though. By the time Civic Source warrants the title, does all the title work, gets the title to where it can go into service, sometimes that work is more than the value of the lot. So what's happening is we're selling a lot for, you know, $7 grand, and it's all going to Civic Source. There's no money comes to us. We don't get anything. Now I'm glad to sell them because then I don't have to worry about that, and hopefully it'll go back into service. But we do have an issue that we have more lots in this town than we can cut.
I just wanted to add to that, the Civic Source properties, like they have one of my constituents that lives here, and then the property is across the street, and the grass is higher, like sugar cane. So the bottom line is, and is also in the area where they hide sometimes, I was told, running from yards to yard, and so you really can't see physical bodies inside of those high grasses. So, you know, I just want people to understand that this is not magic. We can't just snap our fingers to get the grass cut as soon as possible. There is a process, and these Civic Source properties are listed to be sold, but at the same time, even with those properties, it has to go through the process too. Mr. Jeff, can you just elaborate a little bit on how that works? Even though they're complaint driven, they still the complaint is called in, but there's still a process as well. We can't just run out and go cut the grass the same day.
No, we have to give the owner notice and the opportunity to cut the grass before we go out there. What the mayor says about Civic Source is correct. It would be great for us if they sold those properties, got them back into private hands, got them back on the tax rolls, where somebody will have invested money in the property so that they'll go out and cut the grass. We're never going to have enough resources to cut all the grass on all the lots. And I don't know if individual people are willing to cut, you know, lots in the neighborhood, but I've done that. You know, I mean, we've all cleaned up other people's properties when we needed to. So there is a process for cutting grass. It involves personnel, legal processes, notices. You can add.
And it takes a while for the notices.
The tax bills.
Yes.
And a lot of these properties are upside down on the tax bills anyway. You know, they're not worth what it's going to cost to get them back in commerce. So, you know, we're going to do the best we can.
I didn't want to take up too much of the council's time, but this has been an ongoing issue and problem, and I just wanted to address these things tonight. I just yield back my time. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all very much.
I appreciate y'all patience.
Thank you. Now we'll move to another discussion item. Madam Clerk, item B.
Discussion by Jeff Simon explaining the definition of derelict or junk vehicles.
Here you go, Mr. Sorry.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Jeff?
Well,
Give me a good answer.
There's a okay, I can answer questions about what the definition is because we all discussed that. We all talked about the ordinance revision. You know, several versions went out, and what we decided was a junk vehicle is a vehicle that's got a paperwork problem, that is with the license or registration, and it's got some physical problem. It's a derelict vehicle. In other words, it's wrecked, it's dismantled, it's abandoned or discarded, it's got broken windows, deterioration by rust, physical damage, it's infested with rats, whatever, or it got major components missing. The old definition of junk vehicles talked about whether or not they were able to, whether or not you could drive them backwards and forwards and so on and so forth. We tried to make it clearer, we tried to make it simpler, we tried to make it something where our people could go out and look at the vehicle and tell right away, without having to start it up, whether or not it was a junk vehicle and whether or not it was a danger to the public. Ugly, we don't worry about. Can't worry about ugly. But things that are dangerous to the public and would attract children or whatever, those are the vehicles that we're taking care of. Now, I'm not sure how that process is going. I think it's simplified. Those we're not going to prosecute. Those, you tag the vehicle, eventually it gets towed, and then, you know, the people can go redeem that from the tow people or whatever. But the definition is what we put, and when I say we, I mean everybody up here, in section 3882, something that does not have both an unexpired license plate and an inspection certificate, and has one of the other conditions like wrecked, dismantled, abandoned, discarded, broken, whatever. So, I mean, that's the definition we have. If people don't like that, if we need to have some different standard, we can talk about it. But, you know, this is something that's not currently drivable legally and has some condition of the vehicle that's a problem.
You can go check these two on French Street. I'm sure they're gonna have some trouble with them. Man, I don't wanna live with somebody next door to my house putting that old car all the time, and I don't want my constituents to live like that. They have nice homes, and most people do not fight these old cars with 3 foot of grass on each side of it. That's just not livable. And I always tell my constituents, I want you to live as good as I do. Because I'm going to fight it to tooth and nail to get that sucker out of there if he's next door to my house.
I'm not arguing with you about it.
You know, I'm sorry.
Put it on the list.
I
We'll
know,
take a
but
look at
Mr.
it.
Jimmy, go look at them two people again. If you have some leverage, I mean real soon, them people on my back hard. And they've been on, that blue vehicle's been there for 5 years. With 3 feet of grass. Every once in a while he moves it some kind of way. But now he got a second vehicle moved from Desiree to that yard. Now they calling me even more because of that. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy.
State law.
The mayor points out that might be an antique vehicle.
We still have the state law that we could not change. We
25
have the
years.
state law that if it's
Mr. Nico, you have a few antique vehicles.
hey, but I didn't make the state law. I didn't make the state law.
You take care
I'm
of
sorry,
yours,
I
you
shouldn't
know,
have made
you
that
take care of
comment.
yours. They're decent. You have one in the front yard of your house.
They all run.
They're all good.
They all go down the road.
You're dignified about it. But some other
No, but
people
we
aren't.
do have a state law because we tried to change this. And I was willing to change it, but state law protects antique vehicles that even are junk.
They're on
So-
my back, Mr. Jimmy. See what you can do.
Thank you, Mr. B.
I got another question. The boat, Mr. Jimmy, what did we come up with that? On Lafayette Street, that was on,
Boat's gone.
that I got many calls about. What we doing about the white boat?
On Denver, you got the boat going. It's gone.
It's gone?
The white
You
boat is
kidding me.
gone. No. I found the owner with
kidding
the
me.
license plate. The
Okay.
police department ran the plate for me.
Mm-hmm.
I found the owner. It was sold 3 times and nobody transferred 1 time.
But that was a parking issue. The boat wasn't junk.
So, no, but I did
a
find
parking
the
issue. It's
owner and he
park on the
promised me
street.
he'd move it over the weekend and I went and checked yesterday and it's gone.
Oh, praise God.
Good. Marlo,
Thank
you had
you.
something?
Oh, no, I just wanted to talk about
Thank you,
that
Mr.
state
Jimmy.
law about antique cars. I got an antique car, a 1962 Ford
Oh, yeah.
parked on cement.
And you let me know when you want to get rid of it.
it. And I'm working on it. So I'm under the state law.
That's right.
I'm protected by the state law.
I love my horses, but I got rid of them. I rode my horses. They were nice. I loved them. But during at a certain time, that hobby had to go. This one, if they undignified, they're in the front yards, they're affecting neighbors, that hobby
He
got
said
to go.
undignified.
Thank y'all very much. Oh, I love my job. All right, now we go on to item 10C.
Marlon Lewis to discuss the grass cutting process and post-demolition trash pickup.
Councilman?
Well, Mayor and Council, Ms. Sherry Guidry, Councilman Guidry talked a lot about the grass cutting, so, basically, one of the concerns I had, me and Ms. Maxine, I called Maxine, I was calling to call in some lots, and at the same time, I started to find, I was standing in front of a lot, and I wanted to know how the civic source process worked with grass cutting. That's why I asked to put it on the agenda. So pretty much those questions were answered, or asked and answered by Councilwoman Guidry. That's why I asked to put it on the agenda so we could have discussed that. And the other thing is post-demolition trash pickup. The reason why I put that on there because in the process of those homes being tore down, in my district, some people had got permits to tear their house down, but then they thought the city was gonna move the trash. And I called Gardens and put in a request to pick up trash, and they asked me, did they tear it down? And a lot of people just don't know that they have to get a dumpster when they tear down a house.
Correct.
And it's been causing a few problems. I'm not gonna say a lot of problems, but most of the time I ride around and go look at a project in my district that's happening, and I'll go talk to the contractors and most of them I know, because a lot of people in the district I serve, a lot of people really don't have the money to tear down their home, so they usually get the same guys that do it for a good fair price in the neighborhood, and kind of like we all know them. So I kind of ride over there and just let them know, after I found out that you can't just leave this here after you tear down the house. And that interaction with those guys, it helps. A lot of them ask for a favor. They say, man, could you call and get the city? But you can't get it done. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that, almost in a form of an announcement, just to let people know who watch that you cannot tear down a house and expect the city to pick it up.
We're actually breaking the law to go on private property and do that. So, we can't.
And I'm going to be honest, Gardens has been very gracious in some of those events, elderly people, that just didn't have the resources to manage, but that's kind of gotten, it hasn't gotten out of hand, because again, I ride the district, I go on site, and I talk to them, I say, hey, man, you got to move this, and most of them understand, I kind of threaten them, because most of them don't understand that, hey, man, look, we do have the authority to make you move it, and it's just the way you handle people. It just was a discussion I wanted to have so that the public could know, because a lot of people don't know. Almost everybody who's torn down a house, unless it was a contractor that has a company that do this all over the area, they know they got to bring a dumpster in. But those guys who can legally tear down a house, they don't have the resources to get a dumpster, they believe that they can put it out in the front and have the city pick it up or have Gardens pick it up. So that was one of the problems I was facing, and I just wanted to have a discussion. Not so much a discussion as much as let the viewing audience know that they can't do that. They're doing a good thing. It's kind of like you somebody clean up for you and they break a glass. You're like, man, how you tell this person they're wrong? They cleaned up, they didn't charge it. So they're cleaning up, but they're not really following all of the protocol.
Right. Good. Thank you. Natalie? Councilman Lopez?
I'm fine with Natalie. Just to add to that, there's plenty of times where, I say plenty of times, I don't think there's ever been a time where Gordon and Lindsay over there have denied the conversation of an issue. So I will say that, if you have somebody in your district that tore down a house, or if you have somebody that put stuff out and on the wrong week and they're having a party at their house and need something done, as a council person, you can always, I will say that about them, you can always text Lindsay or Gordon a picture of what you have, and they will tell me 100, 150, 75. Tell them we'll go out, we'll bill them, and we'll pick it up. So, it's really nice to have a contract with a company that is that responsive to us and isn't just like, we do this and that's all we do. They're very receptive, and they will quote, and he will come and get whatever they need to get. If they pay whatever, if they say you gotta pay. That's just really nice to have.
I agree with that. They go out of their way.
Yeah. They really do.
Talking about the construction debris, a lot of people don't understand about cutting trees. If you get a contractor to come cut your tree, it has to get rid of the trunks. Gordon won't pick that up.
Right. They pick up branches.
Branches, but not
the trunk.
6
it's
inches
kind
and under.
of obvious if you go to someone's house.
6 inches and under.
Yeah, and the people in their mid-60s or 70s, and they got the trunks as big by the street. I don't know if they did it.
If they cut it and then they cut it up, he'll come. But they have to cut it.
Well, you probably do, but I couldn't. But that's one thing I think we run against a lot in there, is that when these people come cut these trees down, the owner of the property's got to say, oh, you would get rid of the trash. Because a lot of people do put in their price to get rid of it, but they don't get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the public is getting really taken advantage of. And that's something else we need to look into, because with all these winds and these thunderstorms, trees are starting to fall and crack and fall over, and the city will pick up the branches, as you say, but the trunks and that, if you hire somebody, you have to get some.
Yep. That's a good point to do it.
Thank you.
Good. Yes, sir.
One property comes to mind. We were talking about Civic Source earlier about the property. It's not my district, but since I am a patron of Bank Avenue Park, there's a property directly across from the concession stand.
That's the one we're trying to end up with. We have asked Civic Source to take it off of there list that we would retain that property. And then the parish put a sign up because the parish is now hired Civic Source. And then we called them and asked them to take it down. And we
So now I think there's really no sign.
There is no sign, and we are, and Civic Source, we have asked Civic Source to clear the title, to give it to us, and that's kind of in the works because you made that deal. So we are, Maxine had helped with that. So we are trying to get Civic Source to clear that title up so that we could retain ownership, because I think it's
that would be a
regular
great
spot to
parking
park.
space.
It really would
for
it
that
really
concession. So, all right, that's a question I have.
Okay, we'll check on it. Great.
Oh, go ahead.
Councilwoman Abdel.
About that particular property, and about a lot of the properties that we have listed under Civic Source. I personally think that, yes, you need to do the notification and all to the people, but we need to cut those properties, you know, as often as possible, because I think they would sell better if it looked nice. You know,
it's not that we don't cut them, but we get more complaints, it seems like, in more densely populated. I mean, some of those we cut more often than others, but some of them, it probably does get taller because we're so busy cutting between people's houses and in more populated areas. But we do cut them, but I don't know how often we cut them, because the grass is pretty tall.
Not that, especially that property across from the park.
Okay.
You know, I had to call that one in at least twice.
All right.
You know, about that. But we ask property owners to keep their property a certain way. So if it's an adjudicated property and we're kind of responsible
we don't own it.
I know, I understand
we don't
that.
own it.
But, you know, we kind of responsible for it a little bit. So we need to keep that same, you know, if we asking them to do it, we need to do it ourselves. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay. I appreciate that. Budget time's here, and we're going to talk numbers. Because some of that, I mean, to cut it as often as where someone lives, all right, we're going to spend a whole lot more money. If that's something that the council wants to do, we're going to cut something else out to do it. Those are the kind of decisions that we have been making. It's why our money is running close to where it needs to. It's still not great, but it's why we're holding our own, because we are making those decisions daily. And I've had to make some unpopular decisions to keep that money where it is. We as a council with budget time will begin, the more we demand to do, or want to do, it's not a demand, the more we want to do, the more that we want to service, the more something got to give to do that. So, you know, thanks for the info, and we'll have a discussion during budget time, because those are the kind of things we need to kick around. But we're to the point in our budget to try to stay responsible and do all the things we're trying to do. You know, things are going to have to shift. But that's what we have, you know, that's why you'll do our budget. I mean, it's a good thing, and it's a good team effort, because we propose a budget, y'all go through it, y'all approve the budget. So this budget time, let's remember all these discussion items. We've started the budget early because we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, which is probably healthy. Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Mayor, Council. I got one more thing. Yes, I got another call about some tires to the road. Okay, we have a lot of tires in District 5 in a certain sector to the road. So I just want to know if
Gordon's does not pick up
tires.
They pick up 4 tires. 4 tires?
Oh, 4
per
tires?
year.
Yeah.
Per year?
Per resident.
Okay.
Gordon's?
Yeah, called about that. I talked to him
4
about
years.
that this week.
You
Well,
have that too?
that's a new one on me. I didn't know
4
that.
tires per resident.
Normally,
Oh, per resident?
Because when you change a tire, they charge you $2,
Yeah.
I think, or $4. It used to be $2. It's $4.
They pick up 4 tires per resident. After that, I believe they charge you.
Okay.
Now you can.
But when you change your tires, you can pay for them to keep your
right,
tires.
right. That's the disposal fee from the state, I believe. or something
Right,
like that.
right.
But you can also have them bring the tires to the parish farm. They take tires on Avery Island Road. I know
Okay.
that
For free?
They have a spot back there where you can dispose the tires back there, no charge.
That's good to
Mr.
know.
Leroy shaking his head no. Did
Oh.
we said something incorrect?
Yes, sir.
Come on, Mr. Leroy.
Yeah, come tell us.
We collect them at Public Works too, when we see them along the road. But this company, Coke, that picks them up for a regular car tire, charges $1 for every tire he picks up. truck tire is up to $4, dump truck tire. So it costs us money to get them disposed of, but we can, and we got to keep them covered. That's a DEQ regulation. We got to keep them covered with a tarp that the water don't get to them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Well,
So
but
Mr.
Public
Leroy,
Works-
say, can you actually pick up tires when you pass in Public Works and pick up some tires that's been inside the road for a long time?
I have the right to pick up 5 tires per residence.
Oh.
Per week.
It's an empty lot and it's
Per
at the
week.
road. Does that still qualify?
Yeah.
So
Did you
5
round?
tires per household.
You'll be picking up some tires next week.
He said he has the right, not that he has the time.
I've just
or
met
the
with DEQ. So, yeah.
Do we have the budget to do that?
Well,
Well, he just
it
said
comes
he
out of
picks
your
them
tires and tubes budget.
Yeah.
So, pay for it. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's just,
Okay.
but I don't think you can bring them to the, okay.
Maybe.
For the next meeting, Mayor, can we find out
Maybe they
about
just all dump
what
it in
the
there.
parish board says
No, no.
and what Gordon
Yeah.
says, and we can make an appropriate
DEQ
statement.
has
You
come
people
and-
aren't confused.
Yeah, because yes, I agree.
And what your protocol will be for Public Works with regard to the tire.
Right.
DEQ visited this Public Works facility and told us our process, what we needed to do if we pick them up.
I got you. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna do a little check-in because that could be a lot more work. We could be picking up a whole
Oh,
lot of
Lord,
tires,
yeah.
Mr. Leroy.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that we want to spend our money picking up a whole bunch of tires if there are some alternatives. So I'm gonna look at the alternatives of what gardens would do, of where people could bring them before we volunteer and people start stacking 5 tires in front of their house and we're picking them up and we're not cutting grass and we're not picking up trash. We're not doing some other things because we become the tire patrol. So let's just research that a little bit.
What happens is they pick up the tire with the rim, they take the rim off and they go sell it for scrap. And then they got the tire left over.
Right, right. Thank you. Well, that's some good information, and what I'm gonna do is look into that, and we'll have a discussion about that to look for, give our citizens as many alternatives as we can. Besides Leroy's tire picking up service. Great, good discussion. We done? Now we go to councilman remarks. So we'll start that with Councilwoman Lopez. And work your way around.
My only thing really, I mean, I'm sure everybody's gonna piggyback on that is, school starting. I know that the police department has talked, I know they talked to my school. I have DASPIT, in my district, and we've always had issues with car line. I live a block away from the school. I mean, it is always challenging, and so I'm just gonna ask that people, respect the schools, respect the car line, even if you're not bringing someone to school, respect that you're in an area with a school. Get off your phone and just pay attention to what's going on, because it's important that they get there and they get there in a timely manner. At our organization yesterday, I learned some new information, so I'd like to put it out there. I don't know if the newspaper covered it yet or not, but there are new rules for the school districts this year, and if you're riding a bus, 3rd grade and under, if when they pick you up and when they drop you off in the afternoon, a parent has to be outside to meet the child. So that's 3rd grade and under, and it's like a first offense I want to say is like meeting with the school, 2nd offense is DA, 3rd offense is court. So they are really, really cracking down this year with regard to that, the transportation. And if the bus goes to drop a child off, that's 3rd and under, and a parent's not there, they're gonna pass back at the end of the route, and if a parent's still not there, they're gonna bring the child back to the school. So that is something new, and I grew up, I walked, to Bank Avenue Elementary from St. Peter Street, so I grew up in a different time. So, this is pretty intense, and the same thing with absences, 5 absences, and they're reporting to the DA's office, which they've already had that in effect. But I think they're going to get really aggressive. So I just hope that people really pay attention to the new rules and take advantage of what they need to do as good parents for the children in our community. Thank you.
Yeah, this weekend on Sunday, we have our annual Cuts for Kids, sponsored by the Brothers of Omega Psi Phi, Rho Omicron chapter. Also, we'll be doing it at No Limit Barber and Beauty Salon, and it's from 12 to 4. It's right by the West End Park. If you don't know where it is, it's right by the West End. When you're entering the West End Park, coming from Hopkins Street, it's right on the left. I don't know the address. And also, one of the things that I talked about, and I remember specifically when I ran for city council, and I'm gonna talk to the chief about it, but I said to my constituents that school is starting, and I told my constituents that we would make sure when we get a city police department that when our youth in District 2 in the West End, when they get off of the school bus, a drug dealer, a drug user, a prostitute, or anything that is negative to the eyesight of a child, that won't be the first thing they see getting off the school bus. And I know that our chief and his patrolmen are gonna help with that, because I believe that when you train up a child in the way that he should grow, he will never depart. Our kids who've been in school from 7 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon should not see the first thing they see off the school or getting off the school bus is a drug dealer, a drug addict, a prostitute, or anything negatively that will impact their little minds as they learn. And I'm gonna need y'all help on that, Chief, to clear the streets. I don't care what you do after 6 o'clock. You should be working up until 6 o'clock. But until those babies are home safe, Chief, we need them off the street.
Thank you. The big.
Since we're talking about our children at the schools, Mr. Dalbor, we waited for you. Mayor told us as soon as the city police get their feet on the ground, we gonna put the DARE program back. And it's not just you, sir, that's gonna handle the cost, or the sheriff, or the Iberia Parish Sheriff Department, and the Iberia Parish School Board, and the City Marshal's Office, Iberia Parish government and area businesses, and individuals of New Iberia, all gonna share in the cost of putting this thing back. We're the only ones that don't have it. St. Martinville, on July 18th, the Iberian stated St. Martinville City received a grant approved for the DARE program to reach every school in that city. The person working as a resource officer will implement the DARE program at that school. It's being done. So Mayor, I'm not going against the budget. We're going to put a few dollars in, as well as everybody else, and you promote me as a committee chairman. We're going to get a committee going with the whole city and put this program back where it should be. It's been there for 40 years. Look like it's working somewhere. At least get the kids' attention that don't do drugs. Don't just have that red ribbon 1 week of a year. Do it regularly. Marlo and Sherry, as well as other pastors, are looking for programs that will reach our children. Please support the restart of the DARE program. What better program than they have than the one that's been around for 40 years or more or longer? But every parish I know of, besides Iberia Parish, is the only Iberia Parish that give up on it. Because it have one person, one group supporting it. Let's get a lot of people supporting it where it's not a burden on one. Mayor, take the lead by creating a committee into starting back the DARE program. Let's have several groups pitch in to pay for this program. I mean it from the heart. Let's start something going. Somebody has to grab it and put it back.
You
And
looking like a chairman.
let's put our children. The school board has that phrase. Let's put our children first. And I mean it from the heart. Let's do something. Sherry, y'all been working on projects? I don't think there's a better one yet. And we all go to the school board. Sherry, you come with me. I'm gonna be there regularly when they're putting these things on. Don't do drugs. You know, threaten them. Don't do it. You know, I'm sorry, but I mean it from the heart. We need that program back. We need people just talk about it. It's been thrown around in here a little bit, you know, DARE program. Let's commit to a committee. I'll go around, if you don't mind, to all these groups and get a person or so. I've already talked to the school board. The parish government has some people interested in this. They've been waiting for something to start. Let's start, take the lead and start it, but it'll be a few dollars from every group. Let's all put in and get a grant. Get the school board, get us, whoever,
write some grant. The city of Waterville got a grant, let's get a grant.
Thank you, Chairman Broussard.
Be on the Finance Committee chairman, I'll start it up.
You in. Great. Mayor Pro Tem?
Mayor, I want to thank the citizens of New Iberia. We talked earlier about how taxes is good.
We're good.
We
just about back.
the last 3 months it was positive. Last year it was negative. We almost zero, right where we want to be. We're not in the negative like we were last year. It's because of citizens shopping local. It's a big deal. These 10, 20, and look, I went to a store today. I forgot school started. Wow, they got a bunch of people shopping up here for school supplies. And I'm glad to see that. But I want to thank them because it's so easy just to go down the road and spend their money. We don't get any dollars. People don't understand that when you do buy a vehicle out of town, I'm not encouraging that. We still get your tax dollars. People think we don't, but we do. But we want you to buy your vehicle here. But continue to support, this because it really helps us do things such as y'all mentioned tonight with the houses and with the cleanup. Without the money, we can't do it, and we got to do priority first. And even though in the neighborhood it's a priority, but financially maybe it's not for us to run government, but we need those dollars. And this could be one of our best years in a long time here that we had to be able to go forward and move forward. So I want to thank the citizens of New Iberia because it's showing that they are putting back into the community. Great point. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ledbetter?
I have two things tonight. One thing is that I did watch the show, Sugartown.
Yes, ma'am.
And I really want to tell the viewing audience, we know our community, and our community was not portrayed the way it truly is. All my African Americans don't live on one side of the track and haven't, since before I was born. We've always had integrated neighborhoods, and they did not seem to talk to people like within the city government or the parish government to get any input about, our opinions on anything or interview us. And I really resent that because we have a good community and it is nothing like what they portray. As far as for New Iberia being Sugar Town and this fiery little thing running through, it was just really, pathetic. It really was. I'm sorry, I did have to watch it, but just to give my opinion on it. On a positive note, I do want to wish all the children, the educators, the staff in the school system have a great school year. And that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'm the only one that didn't watch the documentary. So now I'm going to go research it and go find out what y'all talking about. I just want to say congratulations to the Bayou Museum and staff for the new wing dedicated to Doc Voorhees. He's done a lot of great things for our town. He was also my husband's teacher, maybe your teacher, and a few others in here.
I wasn't smart enough.
He wasn't smart enough. Well, the mayor's teacher, my husband's teacher, and a few others in here.
But,
So, and I was just thankful that we could get a former dignitary to come to our town. Miss Kathleen, former Governor Kathleen Blanco was present, and I just thought it was a great thing to be able to bless our city with such a great dedication. Also, to Miss Heather Dominic, where are you, ma'am? How you doing? I was looking for my swimmer's card. I thought I qualified as an official swimmer, so I was looking for my card in the mail.
You did very well, Cheryl.
Okay, so we're gonna work on the card, because I have to have something to show my friends. Okay, thank you. Okay. Also, too, I want to remind everyone that our quarterly neighborhood watch meeting is coming up in September, so get ready for that, and we will announce the date on the upcoming weeks. On the school note, I just have a quick question for our chief of police on how we're going to work for the school crossing for the children. I know Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office usually handles that, right, at one time, but how are we going to be doing it? Are we going to show up at school crossings, or like, or it's just the school that does that? Okay, 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 okay. I'm thinking of another school. It is outside the parish. Never mind. Okay, thank y'all. And also too, let's see. I just want to let the NIPD know that I do support them and their tour that we're going to go on, but I will be late because I have a speaking engagement that same day, so I will show up right afterwards. That's it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I think everyone made good points tonight. School's back in action, and let's all watch our speed going through these neighborhoods with the schools, for sure, and make sure stopping at all the stop signs in front of these schools. Another thing, softball, adult softball is coming to an end this Thursday. Of course, our team didn't make the finals at all. So, but I want to thank the Heather with the Parks and Rec group. A lot of the older members, Hall of Fame members that came out this year, and actually did a revitalization of the park. We did this way back early in the season, but it really showed throughout the season, even though we might have not had the amount of teams we wanted to have, but just having those people there to witness what happened this season as far as revitalizing and cleaning the park, it really shows, and I'm looking forward to next season and to see where we can take it from there. It was a great year. It was short, but I'm looking forward to next year. But thanks to everyone, and have a good night.
Great. I have a couple, and then I'm going to ask you to join but not leave, because we have one other thing, and I didn't want to expand the agenda. So, my first remark is, I also watched the documentary Sugartown. I had the extreme privilege of watching it with the whole administration of the police department. So we watched it together with their families. And this is an issue that will continue, that we need to work on, that we have done nothing but embrace community policing, but build up the trust. I can tell you the tips that come in, the amount of activity that you see, the amount of guns that have already been gotten off the street. I think we're up to 12 or 15 illegal guns. The amount of drugs that have been gotten off the street. It's because we are communicating, and more importantly, the residents of our town, of all areas of our town, are communicating with us. That's how you build trust. We've had a hiccup here or there along the way, and we've dealt with them, if we ever have one, open and honestly. But for the most part, you know, the way our town was portrayed is not, if you live here, you know your community. It's not the way our city council functions. It's not the way our new police department functions. It's not the way our community functions. When you watch it, you know, they had a point to make. There's tragedy there. I don't deny. I feel sorry for, you know, the white family's loss. That's undeniable. But the way that our community was portrayed is not the community that I live in, have lived in my whole life. It's not the community that I wanted to do this, that I spent money to get elected to do this, to serve, that all of you did too. It's not the community that when you watch us work as a diverse group, when you watch the police department administration on down through the whole department work as a diverse department that we promised. That we would have officers that look like all of our citizens. That's Marlo's quote from when we were building this. The town halls that we did throughout our community to promise that this would be something different. Well, the people voted for it. So our residents tax themselves to do this. So we are addressing our issues. Oh, we got issues. Every town has issues. But we're addressing them openly and honestly. And I watched it, and, you know, a couple people called me today and wanted to know, you know, what'd you think about it? And I really didn't think anything about it. I just think that it didn't portray us like we are. I felt that issues had happened that, you know, are terrible and that need to be addressed. But on the flip side, it made me really optimistic. I watched this and said to myself, we're so opposite of what I saw on TV, we must be doing something right. It wasn't, you know, fun to watch it because I got to sell this place. I'm the guy who sells New Iberia, who's, you know, at the top of the food chain of I got to get businesses here, I've got to bring people in. I have over 200 employees to run that serve and that do the work that you tell me to do, you know, because we are a team. So in a way, I watched it, and then I took the negative like I always do and made it positive and said, boy, we're doing so many things so much better than the way they're portrayed. As, you know, I love living here and love being the mayor, and it's just wonderful to see how our community is coming together and how we are so polar opposite of what they showed us on TV. So I wanted to make that remark, and then what I'm going to do, because we have some students from Belgium here that want to give us a present, I think, so, or address us or something, or I want to recognize. So instead of expanding the agenda, I'm going to say let's adjourn, but then just stay in your seats. So I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? We're adjourned. Where's our people?